Have you ever created apps by following tons of tutorials, only to realize no one else can actually use them? Let's fix that. Today, I'll show you the easiest way for everyone to boost your creativity and share your creation with the world. With the rapid growth of AI-assisted coding tools, people start saying, coding instead. Yay! This is finally happening in this world. That human creativity is going to be unleashed from the constraints of tools and low-level skills. By the end of this profound revolution, human civilization will enter a new era. Today, let me guide you through the first steps into that future, turning the spark of your creativity into a uniquely tailored app. We're going to use 3 tools, and they are free, easy to use, require no installation, require no coding, and there's no friction to share your creations with everyone. What type of tools do we need? Imagine creating an app as if you are creating a poster. The first tool is the poster board, the space where all your ideas come to life, ready to be showcased. The second tool is a set of markers, the key creative instruments that help you brainstorm and shape those ideas. You can already make decent posters with the first 2 tools. However, the third one will add that extra spark and sometimes become the most eye-catching element of the entire project. And they are the stickers. Back to app creation, the poster board I like the most is CodePen. CodePen.io has been around for over a decade. It is a great community where people create and share tons of amazing web demos and mini apps. There are games, useful tools, educational content, websites, galleries, simulations, animations, and fun things that I don't really know how to categorize. And the best part? You are free to view the code behind every project, tweak it, and watch the change happen instantly. For example, we can change the Woo Bowl's color and size, even the gravity. Some of you now may say, wait a moment, this is cool, but you said require no coding. Yes, with the second tool we are going to introduce soon, there is no need to read and change the code by yourself. But let's finish the CodePen intro first. Next, with an account, you can save your changes and it will show up in your work tab. Now let's publish your app so others can use it. In order to do that, we need to do nothing. It is already published as you save. Copy and share the URL address. You're good to go. However, when you share in this way, others will see the code sections. To hide those, let's take a look at the Change View button. Here are a bunch of view options. For example, you can change the position of the code editor. The one we want to use is debug mode. Sharing this new link will show your app in full screen. If you want to use your app on mobile devices, you can also add a homepage icon for a specific URL, making it more like a regular app. Now, let's talk about the markers. There are the large language models, for example, ChatGPT. We have an idea. ChatGPT can help you research existing solutions, brainstorm options, carry a vague idea to a detailed app design, and most importantly, write web apps code for you. You can use ChatGPT without an account. but logging in unlocks more powerful features and more usage quota. Let's go through an example. Do you know what is the question people ask the most every day? What to eat? Let's create an app to make that decision easier and save time for humanity. Help me build an app in HTML. HTML is a coding language we use, so remember to clarify that. Instead of just randomly pick an item from an option list, I want to make the app nicer. Let's start with create a 3D dice rolling animation. Upon click, the dice will roll. Now ChatGPT starts writing the code for us. You can quickly preview the result with this button, and you can actually share it from ChatGPT as well. However, this preview has limitations. For example, it blocks certain functionality like camera. You cannot remove the ChatGPT header. Your creations are not organized at all, but it works for quick test. Okay, now let's ask ChatGPT to replace the numbers on the dice with food types. You can see ChatGPT update the code line by line, and with a few seconds, you have an updated version. When you think it's good to go, you can move it to CodePen. Create a new pen, then paste your full HTML code in the HTML section. Don't forget to give it a name. I would suggest adding TCCDIY in the name, so each of us can share and search easily within our sub-community. Now you have your ultimate question solver, accessible from everywhere, including your phone. What we just showed is creating app from scratch. It gives you great flexibility, but sometimes could be challenging. A more beginner-friendly yet super powerful way to create a customized app is to fork, which means tweaking or extending other apps. Let's say you find something on CodePen and want to fork. For most pens, you will see all three sections with code. There are HTML, CSS, JS. However, you can actually put CSS and JS in the HTML to form a single file, like what we did in the What to Eat app. Putting everything in one section is less readable, but we don't care as we use ChatGPT to read it. The first step for ChatGPT to work with these pens is to ask it to merge all of them into a single HTML file. You can do this like this. For our TCCDIY sub-community, it will be more common for you to see an app with a single HTML code file like this. For this example, it uses camera to take a photo and use large language model API to describe the photo. By the way, whenever you need some help to understand the flow of an app, just paste the code to ChatGPT and ask. Now let's fork it and repurpose it for something else. Here's my code. Help me make the following tweaks. First, make the UI more mobile phone friendly. And then I want to repurpose it as a language learning app. Instead of describing the image, identify up to 5 objects in the image in English, then add Mandarin translation to them. And then ask it to keep the API keys and credentials as is. This last sentence is important, otherwise sometimes ChatGPT will change your own API key to a placeholder string. Now we see ChatGPT happily writing the code, as always. However, this time, when you try preview, you will notice the camera doesn't work. This is a limitation of ChatGPT preview mentioned earlier. Let's copy-paste the code to CodePen. Here we go. Now we have a language learning app. You can capture a photo, and there are 5 objects being detected, first in English and then translated to Mandarin. However, I feel the camera view is a little bit too big, and no matter how it resize the browser, it doesn't work very well. No worries, let's ask ChatGPT to fix it. It's quite common to have multiple rounds of conversations when you polish your app. Now we have a newer version with a nicer UI. The key magic of this app is done by the multi-modal large language model, which actually falls into the sticker category. The stickers are APIs, which is short for Application Programming Interfaces. And Google is one of the biggest API providers. APIs encapsulate powerful functionalities and expose simple interfaces to control them. It is like you use steering wheel, gas and brake pedals to drive a car without having to know how engine and transmission work. The API powers the language learning app is Google Gemini. To use it, you need to go to Google AI Studio and apply for an API key. It has a huge amount of free quota, enough for personal and friend usage. Ideally, you shouldn't expose your API key publicly, as others could take it and you get charged. However, since we don't put any payment info here, there isn't really much to lose. In the worst case, someone uses up your free quota, you could delete the old key and apply for a new one for free. In a later episode, I will show you how to protect your keys, but don't let this block your creativity now. If you take a closer look at the code of the language learning app, it says the key here. When you fork this app, try replacing this with your own key. Other than Gemini, there are APIs like MediaPipe for traditional machine learning like face detection, Firebase for data storage, Eyes APIs for making money, and more. Worth noting though, sometimes even with ChatGPT's help, for example, you paste the entire API document to it, you still need a little bit coding knowledge to use the API right. However, as part of the TCCDIY community, I, and hopefully you, if you know some coding, can create and share the basic demos of using various APIs, just like the large language model and the multi-modal language model API demo. So most of us could just fork it as what we did with the language learning app. Now you have the three tools all connected, the power is in your hands. However, don't just watch me doing it, DIY, do it yourselves. Here are some homework for you. Trust me, they will be fun. Task 1. Open the apps I linked in the description below. Try them and explore the CodePen UI. Task 2. Fork an app by making some tweaks, big or small, and share your CodePen URL in the comment below. Remember, there's no right or wrong, it's all about making something uniquely yours. Congrats if you get this far, and thanks for learning with me today. In the following episodes, I will use these three tools to create some serious apps, saving my brothers and sisters across timelines and spaces. Join me to see what can be created and forked to make them more powerful. I'll see you in the next one.